it always takes me a couple times to actually do this to the point where I'm satisfied with the video that I'm making. So, one, I tend to ramble, and so I'll take what can be said in 5 minutes and make it 10 minutes. So just imagine me telling an hour-long story. It takes a while. I wanted to say, today was uneventful. It was more or less uneventful. I started out at the yard in Fort Worth. I got up. I came out in the car in the Mercedes, and came out, did my pre-trip on my truck and everything, got everything moving, and climbed in the truck and took off. And I've been driving most of the day. I drove about 11 hours today. It's 10 hours and 50 minutes, more or less. And it was like 10 hours and 51 minutes or 10 hours and 41 minutes or something ridiculous like that. But I drove all day, and so kind of wore out, tired. I'm getting ready to go lay down in my bed right here after I take the dog out. And I already ate like 3-4 hours ago. So anyway, I've seen some things lately that kind of are starting to concern me. I don't know if it's just like a sign of the times, or if it's or what it is. By the way, I don't like the term unprecedented times. I don't really feel like we're in unprecedented times. I feel like we've kind of done this before, hey, that's enough. Sit down, please. You can't be doing that while I'm on the video. Anyway, sorry. She saw a dog, another dog. She does that when she sees another dog. She barks at the dog. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, unprecedented times. Okay. I don't really like that term because I feel like America has lived through times like this before, and those times are, like in 1918 with the Spanish flu. America lived through that time, or we lived through World War II, which is had rationing, and we don't really have rationing today. We're having something like that. It's sort of, because it's like if there's any sort of medical equipment that could be used by doctors or nurses or anything like that, they're saying, hey, save that for the doctors and nurses, give that to the doctors and nurses. So, and during World War II, when we had rationing, it was a little different. It was like, if there's, butter and milk and cheese and blah, 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 it's like you can have a little bit, but we need to be sending that to the boys over at war, and we need to be sending that to the fighting men. And the women. There were plenty of women that were overseas too. If you really look into it, there were like all kinds of women over there. Wax and slacks. Watch White Christmas. Anyway, so we've dealt with stuff like this before. We'll get through this again. The thing is, we don't know exactly how that's going to happen, and we don't know how the landscape is going to change. So, a couple of things. I heard somebody, Trump said that maybe the handshake's going to go away. Like, maybe it'll stick around, but maybe it won't go away. By the way, if the handshake goes away, let me teach you something. This is the sign for live long and prosper from Star Trek. However, there's a way that you do this. You put the hand up first to start the greeting, and you say peace and long life. Okay? Or you say live long and prosper. The other person that walks up says, hey, peace and, so if you say live long and prosper, they would go peace and long life. Or if you say peace and long life, they would say live long and prosper. And that's what that is. So if the handshake goes away, I pick this. This is what I'm doing. That makes sense to me. And so that's Vulcan, by the way, if you're not in Star Trek. Vulcan. But anyway, the other thing is, I kind of today as I was walking out of the a rest area. By the way, more power to the people cleaning the rest areas, because they're cleaning bathrooms in the middle of a pandemic. So that's something to be appreciative of. As I was walking out today, the guy that was cleaning the rest area was there. I said, hey, thanks. He goes, yeah, you too. Have a good day. And I was like, yeah, stay healthy. That, I think, is going to be the new, the new parting, When you leave somebody, you're just going to, hey, it's good to see you. Stay healthy. With the finger guns, by the way. So, anyway, but yeah, just, hey, stay healthy. See you later. And, so I think that's going to happen. I like the before times thing that's come out. It's been on Facebook all over the place. But I love that the before times, and what that is like somebody goes, do you remember the before times, before coronavirus? In the before times, when we didn't have to wear gloves or masks. In the before times, when we used to go to the store and they wouldn't limit how many people were in the store. In the before times. And so I thought that was kind of funny. I came up with the quarantine 20s. I think we should call this decade the quarantine 20s, because things are going to change like crazy after this. There might not be a handshake. There will probably, we're gonna finger God. Stay healthy, brother. Out you go. That kind of stuff. So things are definitely going to change. So I'm calling it the quarantine 20s, which is like the roaring 20s. See how it rhymes? See what I did there? Anyway, the other thing, so a couple of weeks ago I was going north on 287 out of DFW, and I saw like 5 people that looked like they've been homeless for a while, like going up 287. Now, it's not necessarily unusual to see homeless people along the highways in any big city. This, however, was not in a big city. This was north of Fort Worth enough that if they didn't have a car and they had walked, it would have taken them most of the day to get to this point. And I think it was between Fort Worth and Decatur, or it was north of Decatur. I don't remember that, but it was that far out. So I think I wondered if as things get worse, if we were going to start seeing roving bands of people walking. They don't have a car, they don't have money. That's it. They're done. They're surviving on A, the kindness of strangers, and B, what they could forage for in the forest, or hunt for, or whatever. Today was a little strange too, because I saw 3 ATVs going down eastbound on I-40 on the east side of Memphis, and they had coolers on the back, and the last 2 had 2 people, I think, on each ATV, and then the front one had one guy on the ATV. And they all had coolers or whatever, but they just all of a sudden they were on the shoulder going along, and I wondered a little bit about that one. I didn't see any guns or anything, so I couldn't tell if they were out, hunting, or maybe they were fishing, because, maybe they needed the ATV to get somewhere. The river was up, so that could be what it was. But on the westbound side, I saw a guy either unloading or loading his ATV. Like, his wife was out standing next to him. It seems like a very unsafe place to load or unload an ATV. And if they're, like, unloading an ATV to go off into the forest right there off of I-40 to go hunting, that seems a little odd to me. I don't feel like the city would allow that. And this was certainly within some city limits, somewhere. Unless it's like a national park or a state park or something like that. But anyway, that was a little strange. And then tonight, I'm in the Petro at Kingston Springs. Yes, I know I say Petro. I got a friend that goes, Petro, it's Petro, it's Petro. Say right, it's Petro. It's like, okay, I say Petro. That's what I say. Whatever. I say Petro. But I'm in the Petro at Kingston Springs. And by the way, I that friend of mine, he's a great guy. And I pretty much say Petro anymore because I know it annoys him. But that's what friendship's all about, is annoying each other. So I'm here in the Petro, Kingston Springs, and I backed into a spot that it was reserved or whatever, and because I didn't know exactly when I was going to get here tonight. And this car comes rolling up with its headlights out, and it pulls up next to me, and I'm like, that's the security guard come to tell me that I got to have a reserved reservation to be parked here. So I get my phone out, I pull up the reservation on the phone, I'm like, I'm ready to show him the reservation. And this older gentleman walks up and he says, and he's holding sodas, and he holds them up like, hey, 50 cents, $1, just spare change in your pocket, he's trying to sell these sodas to me. And I'm just like, man, I don't have any change. And I think he said something about, like, who doesn't have change, as he walks off. And I think part of my concern, I've had some concern, but part of my concern is as we move forward into the next 30 days, what was it? 6.6 million people filed for unemployment last week. 3.4 million people filed for unemployment the week before. So now we're at like 9 and... What is this? Can't tell what that is. That's weird. Oh, it's my hat. Okay, alright. I thought it was like a ghost or something. I couldn't see it. But anyway, as we move forward more closer into the into what happens in the next 30 days or whatever, I'm concerned about, there's greedy people, and everybody's got a little larceny in them. Again, watch White Christmas. Everybody's got a little larceny in them, and although you want to believe that in the midst of this kind of crisis, of this kind of trouble or whatever, everybody's going to do what's right, there are people out there who won't, so that's kind of what you have to be careful of. What I mean by that is more or less, I've already warned about it in one video. You got to watch it, because at some point, if it came down to the point where you needed to eat and you had a choice between not eating and becoming a criminal, most people are going to choose to become a criminal. And that's the thing. And I'm not blaming them. I think it's a terrible situation that we're in and everything. But I just hope that it doesn't happen to me. So, and that's kind of, I want to be able to continue doing what I'm doing and whatever it is. But, don't, if somebody rolls up to you with a gun and puts a gun to your head and says, give me the truck, give them the truck. Make sure you get to, just tell them, say, hey, I understand that things are tough right now, and try to keep your wallet and your phone so that way you can get the hell out of there. You're not stranded on the side of the road somewhere, because then you're the homeless guy because you don't have a wallet or a phone and you can't get the whatever. Anyway, just be aware of that. Always be aware of your surroundings as far as that's concerned. But I wonder if we're going to start seeing more lawlessness, rebellion, maybe. I don't know how to describe it, but dystopian signs or whatever, as things kind of, maybe if they get worse. I'm hoping they don't. I always feel like it's, you always have the two options. You have the best of what could happen and the worst of what could happen, and usually it lands somewhere in the middle. And I'm kind of hoping for the middle, but you should be prepared for the worst and you should hope for the best, And so I'm kind of that's where I'm at right now. Anyway, if anybody knows why there were ATVs on the shoulder of I-40 in Memphis, please let me know. If it's just something innocent, like, hey, they go fishing every weekend, that's normal, we see that all the time, comment down below and let me know. So that way, I'm not going like, Dystopia, so I would like to know. As for anything else, it's the normal thing, Tomorrow I'm going to get up and go to Pennsylvania. So I hope I haven't talked your ear off at this point. I hope I've made a lot of good points. Hope I haven't shoved a lot of information down your throat right now. So I'm gonna hang up. I'm good. It's been almost 13 and a half minutes. So keep your side up. See you guys down the road. We'll see you tomorrow.